Hey, what's up, people out there? Welcome back to another episode of Debategate here at the High Stakes Sports Debates Network. And before we jump into the content, just want to ask you guys to show some love to those thumbs down at the bottom of your screen. Really helps us get out there, and it shows us that you want more content. So go ahead and show those thumbs some love. I am also once again joined by the editor at Rebel Media Group, Mr. Lars Lewis. Lars, my friend, it's Friday. How are you today?
Oh, it is Friday, and it's a beautiful day out here in Southern California. I'm actually doing this show outside along the patio, so it's
wow. Very
man,
nice.
You can't ask for anything better. But it's really good to be here on the show again.
Very good, and you're always welcome. Thank you for being a part of this. As you folks can see from the title below, is the Bengals offense underrated? And I'm going to throw it right to you, Lars, because I want to get your opinion on this. Are we underrating this Bengals offense after what they just did on Thursday night and what they've been doing throughout the course of the season?
I like to think so, and the reason why, everyone's talking about the Bengals being 8-0, and yeah, they've taken care of business, but no one is really talking about a couple of things that have taken place with the offense.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Dalton has been receiving a lot of flack the last 3 or 4 years for him coming up short in big games,
right,
as the Bengals have in general. Let's look at what he had over the last 3 or 4 years on offense compared to what he has this year.
right.
In the previous seasons, he really only had A.J. Green as a legitimate weapon.
Still a pretty good weapon, though.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. He's still elite. There's no question. However, the reason why his numbers are a little down this year is for a good reason. They finally have some guys around those two that can actually contribute to the offense and take some heat off of Andy Dalton.
Right.
And one of them in particular, who has been marred with injuries the last 2 seasons, is finally proving to the Bengals that he was worth the pick. And he is a big leprechaun running around the field, getting touchdowns like leprechauns get gold. And his name is Tyler Eifert.
Yeah, dude, he's a beast, man. Looking like Gronk out there.
He is a monster. And being a Notre Dame fan for a lot of years, he is still, in my mind, the most talented player I've seen out of Notre Dame, maybe ever.
Wow. That's bold.
I think Will Fuller's going to be up there when he gets drafted next year. But Tyler Eifert, when I watched him, he was unstoppable.
Right.
You could not stop. If he made Everett Golson look good, and that says something.
Right.
He made Tommy Rees look good. Now that's saying something.
That's really saying something. Right. But
in general, you look at this, Marvin Jones is actually having a pretty good season.
Yeah, I think he had, 7 catches last night? 5?
Yeah, he's up to about 411 yards, and he's got 3 touchdowns.
Solid number 2.
Yeah, and he's someone that they can rely on if they're doubling Green. With the emergence of Eifert, it's going to make Jones a lot more important to the offense. And we can also talk about Gio Bernard, too.
Oh, of
Jeremy
course.
Hill is their power back, but obviously he's more of a goal line type of back.
Right.
Having a guy like Bernard in there when he's healthy provides such a weapon for Andy Dalton to use in the screen game, for him to use the counter plays. Gio is so flexible. You can do so many things with him that Dalton didn't really have that when BenJarvus Green-Ellis was the running back, or even when Jeremy Hill was primarily the starter.
Right, and let's not discredit this offensive line. This offensive line has been playing out of their minds, dude.
They look like the modern-day Hogs.
Right. Andrew Whitworth, man, really showing his value at left tackle. Oh, my God. This kid they drafted in the 2nd round, this tackle out of Oregon, Jake Fisher. I was watching the end of the game, the press conference. Andy Dalton said, that second Eifert touchdown pass, that was intended for Jake Fisher. You've got tackles that can go out and get open.
He's got 31 yards this year.
A tackle.
Yeah, a tackle's got a catch for 31 yards.
So now you think they're underrated.
Absolutely.
Right.
I think this offense is very close to the vest. They don't make many mistakes. And that is something that has been a problem for a lot of years with Cincinnati, is a lot of turnovers.
Right.
You haven't seen that this year.
Right. See, I don't think they're overrated. I don't think they're underrated. I think they're right on schedule. I think we know what this offense is now. Again, you seem to like Andy Dalton. I'm still not sold personally. You can go ahead and beat Kansas City. You can beat the Chiefs, or I'm sorry, the Browns. You can beat a lot. No offense, I know you're a Bills fan. Buffalo wasn't looking too hot. Plus, they were hurt. I mean, I want to see you beat New England, who they don't have on the schedule this year, obviously, because the Pittsburgh Steelers won the division last year. I want to see you play a Denver defense and be able to say, you know what, we can hang in there with this team. I'm not really going to get into the Colts because obviously they're not the Colts we thought they were going to be when they started the season. And I hear you with the Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis thing, and that's a legitimate point. A.J. Green's still a stud. Now, he wasn't in the last playoff game that they had. But again, you go back to 2013. You have a home game. You let Phillip Rivers come into town and just march you out of the playoffs. You throw 3 interceptions against the Houston Texans. I get it, early in his career, and that's fine. But I still got to see it against these elite teams before I can anoint Andy Dalton as a guy that's going to come in and bring your franchise to the Super Bowl, let alone win it. I'm just not sold. I'm not underrating this offense because, like you said, I mean, you have to basically bust out a scroll to talk about all the offensive talent they have. But I'm still waiting to see if Andy Dalton can beat the best. And yes, they beat the Seahawks at home. Seahawks should have won that game. That was just one of the biggest epic fourth quarter collapses of the season. But
they've done it twice. They did it against Carolina, too.
Right, you're right. So, that's just my take. I think that, yes, they should definitely be taken a little more seriously. And I agree with you. I think Tyler Eifert's the key. You can double Green, but that's going to leave Eifert. I mean, did you see what Eifert did to that one guy on the third touchdown? Just made him look like he was going to run the slant inside and then just blew by him. The dude was wide open. And that's the problem I have with Andy Dalton. You're throwing to guys who are wide open. I want to see you fit windows. I mean, you talk about the running game. I've seen Eli Manning win a championship with a 32nd ranked rush game. Same with Aaron Rodgers. Now, I know we put those guys on a higher pedestal of quarterback. I mean, but again, who did Joe Flacco win a Super Bowl with? Who was his best wide receiver? I'm not saying I'm a fan of Flacco because I'm not. Obviously, that defense was a huge reason why this team won that Super Bowl in 2012. But it's not like he had an A.J. Green out there to throw to. And I understand that it was just A.J. Green for a while, and he did miss that one playoff game last year. But at a certain point, we got to stop making excuses for Dalton if he can't beat the best. What sayeth you, Lars?
Well, you bring up some pretty good points, and to make a closing on this, if Cincinnati wants to prove, like they're off to the best start in franchise history. If this offense wants to show the NFL that it really belongs, November 22nd is going to be the test because
Denver?
You know where they're going? They're going to Arizona.
Oh, Arizona.
And then they have the Rams the next week.
That's a great test for this team. You're
Those
absolutely
2 games
right.
are going to prove to us if this offense can really stick it to the best in the NFL.
Agreed.
Because the Rams and the Cardinals, find me a better 2 defenses in football.
Right. I got to agree with you there. And now if they can go, are those games on the road? I think you just said they were.
Cardinals on the road, Rams in Cincinnati.
Okay, well, still, I mean, the fact that you have to go into a Bruce Arians-led team, that defense is legit. That team is legit. I mean, the Cardinals have weapons on both offense and defense. They're just a great team. We talked about it in another podcast, I think, or maybe it was Offset, how, some teams don't have all the pieces. Well, the Cardinals have all the pieces. They've got what it takes to make noise. Seattle better get ready to play on the road this year if they plan on going to chase another Lombardi. They ain't winning the NFC West. The only way I see that, and not to get off topic, I know this is a Bengals podcast, but the only way that the Seahawks are getting a shot at the division, they better beat the Cardinals twice. So
yeah, you're right. And to steer it back to the Bengals, they already have a 4-game lead in the AFC North.
That's
pretty much
that
theirs.
they wrapped it up, and plus they beat Pittsburgh last.
That win against Cleveland, it's over.
Yeah, it's over. If the Steelers want a shot at the postseason again, they're gonna have to do it from the road. So, any closing remarks, Mr. Lewis?
I will tell you this: at the end of the season, Andy Dalton's going to have 35 touchdowns and less than 12 interceptions.
Right, I'm not going to argue that. But again, numbers don't tell the whole story.
I understand that, but you have to realize that Andy Dalton's playing at a level that we have not expected or seen out of him in his career.
Right.
And I think that because of this new offensive line, he has a newfound confidence.
And I have to agree. Again, the only thing I got to see is, can you fit the tight windows, or are you just throwing to dudes that are wide open?
Hey, if they're getting there, that's all that matters.
I hear you. And that's why I think the true unsung hero of this Bengals team is that general manager. Give him a medal. Give him a key to the city, Cincinnati, okay? Because the job that he has done to put this type of talent on your roster is just... I mean, John Harbaugh was right. On paper, the Cincinnati Bengals are the most talented team in the NFL, at least offensively. So... that was today's Debategate, guys. Thank you guys for joining us. Again, if you haven't followed Lars Lewis on Twitter, at LarsLewis12, I mean, what are you doing? Come on. Go ahead and follow this guy if you're smart. Also, go check out the Rebel Media Group. They've got great content, stuff coming out every day. Also, if you haven't liked High Stakes Sports Debates, please go ahead and do so. You can find me at Twitter, at SportsDebateTom. Also, the link to the podcast will be down below. That's when we talk about our start sits, our streamers, everything to get you ready for Week 9 of the NFL. So, for Lars Lewis, for Tom Jew, which is me, thank you guys so much for joining the show here, and we'll see you here next time. High Stakes Sports Debates.